Hello, welcome to Astronomy Live. Tonight I'm going to be doing a brief webcast talking about a winged star that has appeared on Google Sky. Right now I'm taking pictures using a telescope in New Mexico. Tomorrow I actually leave for Cape Canaveral to attend the NASA Social associated with the SpaceX CRS-8 launch, so I will be heading over there. And lately I've been testing the telescope and making sure that everything is okay for the launch. In case I do get a chance to track it. I've been invited by NASA to attend the NASA Social, and I'll be going behind the scenes and taking some up-close footage. So in lieu of using my telescope for this particular target, I'm using itelescope.net and a telescope located in New Mexico, which is being commanded over the internet right now to take a picture of the winged star of Google Sky as seen in this article. Now, I invited the author of this article, Shepard, to come join us tonight. He's the editor-in-chief of IntelliHub, and he has not responded to my invitations to join us, although he did want to talk to me over the phone and debate this issue with me. And I did place a call to him last night and got his voicemail, and I invited him onto the Hangout tonight and sent him an email as well, but I have not heard back from him. So I don't expect that he'll be joining us, but if he does, he has the link that was just emailed to him and that has the direct link into the Hangout, so he can join us at any time if he wants to, but that's his option. So I left that option open to him, but I haven't heard back from him since I began offering the option to appear live tonight and talk about this article. He claims that the missing section of Google Sky is no longer missing, and that this mysterious object appeared in its place. Now, back in the summer, I did do a webcast of a similar star in Reflection Nebula, but this particular star and Reflection Nebula were not visible at that time. And then in September, I did a live webcast where we took a look at that star through my telescope, and we were able to get a picture of it and see that actually it's in the same place as it was in Google Sky. It hasn't moved at all like a planet would or like a solar system object would, so it doesn't appear to be Planet X. And in fact, it's a previously known reflection nebula, GN 0539-2. As for the missing section of Google Sky, it's in a very different coordinates than what you see here, and I covered that previously in a video that you can see on my channel called Google Sky Mysteries, The Missing Sky. Now, we can take the picture that I took back in September of the winged object, and we can actually overlay that back onto Google Sky, and we can see, once again, that the mystery object here, GN 0539-2, hasn't moved. So here's the image I took in September, overlaid back onto Google Sky, and you can see it's in the same exact position relative to the background stars that it was in the original Google Sky picture. Now, as for its position relative to the missing region of Google Sky, let me click on over to that, and you'll see it zoom here. Oh, wait, actually, I totally forgot. Sorry, I have to reconfigure Google Hangouts to show the. Stand by 1 second here. You tell it to share Google Earth. There we go. Now it should be sharing. Yep, there we go. Okay, so here's the Google Earth picture. So again, we see our winged object here that the article is all about. And I can overlay the image taken in September on top of it, and you can see it's in the exact same position relative to the background stars as the original Google Sky picture. Now, as for its position relative to the missing section and the presence of that missing section of Google Sky, let me go over here. I'm going to use the ruler so we can see how many degrees it is from the missing section. And we're just going to zoom straight over to where that is. That's over near Orion. And here it is. It is 28.3 degrees from the nearest piece of that missing section. It's actually not anywhere near it, really. So let's go back to the winged object. Now, once again, the missing section, as you can see, it's still missing. And as I previously covered in the video I just showed you guys, Google Sky Mysteries, the missing sky, you can actually see in that video the original missing image that was missing from that picture. I actually located the original negative of that photo that is missing from Google Sky. And using astrometry.net, I was able to take a picture I took of the negative and overlay it back onto Google Sky using astrometry. I then compared that to a picture that I took, I think it was back around Thanksgiving. Get it to, it's not letting me, here we go. Wouldn't let me select my picture. Let me overlay that back on top. So here's the picture taken with my telescope. Sorry, my phone's buzzing here just to let me know that my pictures are being taken. So I've got a couple different telescopes that are going to work for me tonight, taking pictures of this winged object. One is in California, the other is in New Mexico. I wanted to double up and make sure that at least one of the telescopes successfully takes a picture of the object. So we took a picture in September. I showed you guys that picture during the live webcast. We could see, once again, the object hasn't moved from where it was in Google Sky. It's still there, and it doesn't appear to be moving like a planet. But now, almost 7 months have passed by, and Earth has orbited around to the opposite side of the Sun. So if this is a solar system object instead of a star and a nebula that is very far away, then we should see it moving relative to the background stars at the current time, especially compared to the picture taken in September. Now, even if it were some sort of planet X that's coming right at Earth and moving directly at us in a straight line, even if it were moving at us in a straight line, because of our orbit around the sun and our motion around the sun, it would still show parallax relative to the background stars, even if it wasn't moving relative to the background stars on its own. It would still show that motion because of parallax. So we're going to take a picture of it tonight and compare it to the picture taken in September and see if it moves relative to the background stars. So let me come back to mytelescope.net. And let's see. Excellent. Okay, let me switch the view here from Google Earth back to my web browser, and you can see the file that just arrived. Okay, so over on itelescope.net, I now have a picture waiting for me in the T5 directory. That's the designation of the scope. We've got a picture taken tonight, and we're going to download that picture. So I'm going to download this picture, and I'm going to open it up in PixInsight and get it ready for astrometry. And I'm going to show you this whole process so you guys can see how this works. So here's PixInsight. It doesn't seem to be, I'm not sure if this is working or not. I'm not sure if it's properly sharing the PixInsight view. It doesn't seem to be. At least it's not showing it on my end of the webcast. It should be showing PixInsight, but it doesn't appear to be doing that. All right, well, give me a second. I'm going to go ahead and download the picture and get it into directory I want it. All right, let me try just screen sharing full screen. Maybe that'll work. Okay. All right, excellent. So here's the raw picture straight from T5. All right, my phone keeps buzzing. Okay, they just, yeah. My telescope just sent me the receipt for telescope time I used to take this picture. All right, let's see here. So we're just going to adjust the histogram here. So these are high bit depth FITS files. These are 16-bit images, and you're seeing it here on 8-bit monitor. And so you can't natively display the full dynamic range of the picture. It's not even possible. You see the spikes here on the stars. This is CCD blooming. Basically, these stars are overexposed to the point that the electrons being generated from the photons arriving from the stars are spilling into neighboring pixels along the same column. And when that pixel gets full, it flows over into the next pixel until it gets full. And that's why you see these vertical spikes here. This is CCD blooming. And even though these stars are overexposed, the dimmest stars, of course, look very dark, and we can't even see the nebula yet. And that's because we need to adjust the histogram here and display a portion of the histogram that has that nebula in it. So I'm going to adjust the histogram here, and hopefully we'll start to detect the wings on the star. Let's see, pull this a little bit more, stretching the histogram a little bit more. You can start to see the wings of GNO 539 too. Let's see if I can help it out a bit by adjusting the curves. Basically, we're adjusting the brightness and contrast here, but unlike an 8-bit image, in doing this, we're not really losing information. Well, we are, because we're kind of overexposing things even more here, but there's data that's down in the bottom of the histogram. There's really dim stuff. There's really bright stuff like these stars that are being overexposed, and there's really dim stuff like the nebulosity itself, which is hard to see in the original photo. Actually, I think this might have been a diffraction spike. I thought I was looking at the wings, but it might have been this star over here. We'll know once we get it into astrometry and overlay it onto the original photo. So I'm going to save this as a JPEG, and I'm going to upload this to astrometry.net. And then .net. Upload that JPEG. And astrometry.net will automatically solve this picture and allow us to overlay it back on top of Google Sky. Now T5, while it's doing that, I'll show you T5. So this is T5. This is the telescope that took that picture. It's pretty good. It's basically an entry-level science platform. So you can take science-level data with this telescope, but it is by far not the largest telescope or most powerful telescope on the iTelescope network. But it was available to take this picture tonight, so that's why I went ahead and grabbed it and used it. But there are other, even more powerful telescopes that can also take pictures for you. In fact, the one I had already scheduled, which is now taking its picture, is T24. And you can see this guy is a big honking telescope. 0.61 meter telescope. It is 3 times the diameter of my own telescope and extremely powerful. Um, so this should take an even better photo of the object. And also, I'm collecting color data. Now, the CCD on this camera, on this telescope, is an FLI Parallax instrument camera, which is actually monochromatic. It doesn't take color photos. It takes monochromatic photos similar to T5, but this camera is even more powerful. Now, why would such a powerful and expensive camera be monochromatic? Well, that's actually how we do it with astrophotography. With really high-end cameras, they're generally monochromatic because you get better data that way. All the pixels of the camera can be used for a single channel at that point. You can specify narrowband filters and get narrowband data, hydrogen alpha, ionized oxygen, so on and so forth. And all of those pixels will be used for each of those filtered images. And you can create narrowband images, you can create broadband images with normal color filters, and you'll get higher resolution and better data doing it that way than using a standard, what we would consider color CCD. With a color consumer grade camera and a color CCD, each pixel is basically assigned to one color. And so you are interpolating the completed image based on the matrix levels that were present on the CCD. And that doesn't result in quite as high quality data as actually getting true data from each pixel for each color. On top of that, if you're going to do narrowband imaging, it becomes really problematic because let's say you wanted to take a hydrogen alpha photo of a nice red nebula like this. Well, during your exposures with that hydrogen alpha filter, your green pixels and your blue pixels are useless. They're generating no data. So you are losing basically 2/3 of your CCD uh, while you're taking that picture, and it's doing nothing for you. So that's another reason why we use monochromatic CCDs with high-end astrophotography. Now, this picture is successfully solved, so we can go ahead and we can take a look at this, and we can download this TMZ file and grab this guy here. And this can be loaded directly into Google Sky for us. I'm just going to go ahead and open this file. That's interesting. I didn't really want to open TMZ. I really wanted to. Why is it a KML file? I don't want it to be a KML file. That's interesting. Okay, let me try this again and save it. Didn't have this issue last night when I was saving some of these other KMZ files. KMZ. Okay, here we go. All right, so there we go. It just overlaid the image from T5 from tonight. So you can see this is the star with the wings, although they're really difficult to see in this picture, admittedly. But you can see the star's still there, and it hasn't moved. Now let's see if we've got any photos. Oh, I forgot. I'm not on full screen, am I? Nope, I'm still back in my browser. Okay, sorry. Let me go back to sharing Google Sky here so you can see. Okay, so here's the photo we just took with T5. Wings are hard to see, very, very hard to see. You wouldn't even know they were there unless you already kind of knew they were there. But the star is still there, and you can see it hasn't moved. The star is it's a T Tauri star. It's a very young star, and it's commonly associated with reflection nebulae like these. In fact, even this particular morphology is not unique, as I showed in my webcast of Parsamian 21 back in the summer. Let's see, we've got another photo that should be taken by T24, and hopefully we've got so the first pictures of that ready by now. Let me see if they're on the FTP waiting for me at this point. Yep, looks like. Okay, let me share T24. Let's see. Let me share the browser image. So we've now got a directory for T24. This is the big scope. And we can see now we've got FITS files of all kinds here. I've got the luminance file. This is the grayscale file that will form the base image. And we've got the red and green pictures now too. Blue is currently being taken. But we can start off with just the gray scale picture. Take a look at that real quick and see what we get here. I'm just going to open this. Oh, and I just got a buzz. That must be the blue picture is probably ready. Yep. Cool. Pictures are done. Let's save this file. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing PixInsight again. You can see the raw picture and the processing of the raw picture. Oh, that's right. I forgot. It doesn't actually work like that. Won't let me share the screen specifically. It might actually be working. I don't know. On my end, it just looks blank. It shouldn't. I mean, it should work, but it doesn't seem to be working like it should. For some reason, Google Hangouts doesn't want to share that screen properly. So I'll just share full screen. All right. So let's open up T24's picture. Excellent. Beautiful picture. So this is from T24, big 0.6 meter scope I was talking about. And this is what the raw data looks like. Completely unedited raw data. These spikes here are diffraction spikes because these telescopes have spider vanes that hold the secondary mirrors. My telescope is a Schmidt-Cassegrain. It doesn't have a spider vane, which is why you won't see diffraction spikes in my pictures. So we can go ahead now and start getting this picture ready. Let's see what we can see in the dimmer parts of the histogram. So again, these are high bit depth FITS files, and we're going to convert them to 8-bit FITS files that can be naturally and natively displayed on standard monitors, including the one I use. There's so much dynamic range here that your typical monitor can't really display it. You can capture more dynamic range with some of these high-end cameras than you can display with a monitor. So that's why you have to do tone mapping and HDR processing and all of this. I'm just doing a very simple histogram stretch here to reveal the dimmer parts of the image. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, that's beautiful and unmistakable. There it is. ENO 539-2. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Okay. Well, I really don't need to do anything else to the image than that. That is just beautiful, just stellar. Okay. No pun intended. Go ahead and save that. Well, actually, that file is huge. I'm going to compress it a bit. B version here. I'm just going to compress this a bit, the JPEG, so that it uploads faster. 90% quality. Good. So I will upload a stacked photo of the completed color image later. But for now, for the webcast, we'll just use the grayscale picture here and just see, is it where it was exactly before, or is it showing signs of moving due to parallax? Is it a solar system object? We're about to find out. So let's go now to astrometry.net and upload a new picture. And how big is this thing? It's only 3 megs. It's not quite as big as I thought it would be, but still, my internet's not the fastest, so it will take a moment. Go ahead and just start sharing. Screen sharing, just the browser. So you guys can see that. You can see it's going to start solving this image. What it's doing is it's looking at the stars in the picture, and it's actually figuring out de novo where exactly in the sky this is based on the positions of the stars. Go ahead and show you guys the source extraction image. So you see all these red circles. This is what the program is identifying as stars in the image, and it's going to use the positions of these to actually figure out where it is in the sky. I can make it run faster by telling it, because I know where it is in the sky. I've got the coordinates, but even without supplying the coordinates, it'll figure out on its own. It'll just take it a few longer. It keeps having trouble though here. If it doesn't solve it in the next few seconds, I might try again, except I'll have to go through the upload process again. But it should get it. Let me see while it's doing that if you guys had any questions. Oh, there it goes. Success. Okay, so it took it a minute and a half, but it finally did get it. Still do want to check and see if there were any questions in the YouTube stream. Come on. Looks like I've got a couple notifications. I'm just read the right asking if I'm going to the launch. In fact, I am to the NASA social. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and download the KMZ file again. It's time for the T24 where we can really clearly see that reflection nebula. All right, so here we go. Now it's loading up in Google Sky. I'll go ahead and share that view. All right, let's see, is that working? It looks like it's working. Excellent. So let's crossfade this now with my image and see if the winged star is moving to Parallax. Nope. It's exactly where it was in September. See that the crossfade there? It hasn't. And once again, I'm going to crossfade this back to Google Skies image. And then once more over to tonight's image. You can see the only thing that appears to be moving is an unrelated star, this guy right here. And I had previously identified him. He's some high proper motion star. It's a known high proper motion star. Probably much closer to our solar system than this guy over here, which is why it appears to be moving over time. Now, the Google Sky image was taken sometime in the 1990s, I believe, and so it's been a couple decades now, and over that kind of time scale, you will start to see closer moving stars moving relative to the more distant stars, or alternatively, very fast moving stars that might be a little bit more distant, also appearing to move over that kind of time frame. As you can see, the star we're interested in and the nebula we're interested in, it's completely stationary uh, between both Google Sky to the current images and between September's image to tonight's image. And that's the real key, because if this were a solar system object, it should be moving over time, and it should be moving especially over 6 months of time. As we orbit from one side of the sun to the other, we should see a parallax effect. Even if it were within a few light years, there's enough resolution here that we would detect its motion. The resolution of my image, according to astrometry.net, is 1.49 arcseconds per pixel. Let me share that view again. Well, you can see here 1.49 arcseconds per pixel. At that kind of resolution, you're going to start seeing parallax in objects, even objects that are light years away. And that's why even amateur astronomers have been able to observe parallax in some of the closer stars, like Barnard's star. If you Google it, you can actually see an amateur astronomer who's done work monitoring Barnard's star over time and has seen not only its proper motion, but a sine wave-like motion due to parallax, uh, which is basically superimposed on its motion due to proper motion. And then tonight's image has even more resolution, 0.63 arcseconds per pixel, very, very high resolution. So we would easily detect any proper motion from it being a solar system object. If it were within our solar system, even hundreds of AUs away, even thousands of astronomical units away, it would show a detectable amount of parallax in these images. And that's just not happening because it is not a solar system object, which means that this article over here is unfortunately completely false. It's not Planet X. It was not in the missing region of Google Sky. It's not moving, so it wasn't previously in the missing region of Google Sky. And for that matter, Google Sky is not updating. It's not providing you with live images, right? It's not like they're going out there. It's not like Google's going out there every night with a telescope taking pictures for you. That's not how this works. Google Sky is composed of pre-existing sky surveys that were conducted in some cases decades ago. Things like the Palomar Sky Survey. And that is the source of the image of what you're seeing when I fade back to the background here. This is from the second Palomar Sky Survey. This was taken sometime in the 90s. And that was already around when Google came about. And when they decided to create Google Earth, they just went and took those pictures and stitched them together and recompressed them so that they would stream easy over the internet. So what you're seeing is a lower quality, graded quality version of the original Sky Survey pictures. But you can already go get those pictures from other sources in much higher quality. Um, and that's why I say again and again, never use Google Earth or Google Sky as a source of primary source of Sky Survey pictures. It's not one. Google didn't take any of these pictures themselves. They're not the primary source for them. You can get these pictures in much higher quality from the original sources. And if you go to those sources, you will not find that missing section. That missing section is freely available and has been since before Google Sky ever existed. And that's why I was able to go and I can get into, there we go. That's why I was able to go and find this negative. I mean, I know this picture overlaid on top is not the highest quality. They didn't have a proper light box at the college where I found this negative. I had to use an LCD monitor as a stand-in for a light box, which is why you see all this grid work here. These are actually pixels in the LCD, which I was using to display a pure white image as a makeshift light box for the negative. But the negative's there, and anyone can go inspect it freely at any time. And you can also get digital scans that are much higher quality than what are provided on Google Earth, straight from a variety of sources that have the Palomar Sky Survey plates. So you can always go to those sky surveys and get higher quality sources. If you're looking for problems, anomalies on Google Sky, you're going to find them because Google Sky is not perfect. It has glitches, it has gaps, it has problems that aren't even present in the original Sky Survey pictures. So always go to the original Sky Surveys. Now, in this case, the particular object we're talking about, it's not a glitch with Google Sky. Some people have said that, but that's not true. It's not a lens flare. It's not a glitch. It is a real object in space. It's just not a mysterious object in space. They've known about this for a long time. It's been cataloged as GN 0539-2, and it's a known reflection nebula associated with a T Tauri star. Let's see. Here's this. Let me go back to my browser here. Just once more. Here is a Simbad page on this. So this website is a great database for a lot of these sorts of objects, and you can query them by coordinates, or you can query them by their names. So even if all you have are a set of coordinates that someone gave you, you can look it up and see if there's a known object of those coordinates. In this case, there is GN 0539-2, and it's a known reflection nebula. And if you look for it, you can find a publication that talks about it. Well, it's included in a catalog of reflection nebulae. This one was published in 2003, but the actual reference here, GN 0539-2, this comes from the Atlas of Galactic Nebulae, published in 1985, again in 87, and reprinted again in 1990. And I've found other references to it in the literature from the 80s as well. It was known also as RNO 54, and if you Google that and say RNO 54 nebula, you'll find other papers that talk about it as well. And in fact, one of those papers even basically describes the fact that they know that there are other nebulas like this one out there with a similar morphology, and that's what that particular paper was all about. Let me see if I can find it real quick here. Now this is, let me paste this in here so you guys can see this. This is in reference to FU Orionis stars, which are a subtype, basically, of T Tauri stars. They're like cousins of T Tauri stars. They're another kind of very young star, which are related to T Tauri stars. And this paper was published in 1987, and they talk about RNO 54, which is actually the same object. And I've got a picture of it down here. Not the best quality picture. And see, isn't this amazing? In 1987, this is what professional observatories were able to produce. There's RNO 54. This is actually the same object. Let's see. Do they list the coordinates? It'd be nice if they did. RNO 54. Images from 1986. But they don't give the coordinates. I don't see any other tables in here. They probably mention it somewhere in the body of the text. Wait, what's this? Does this have coordinates? No. All right, I guess they don't list the coordinates in the table. It would be nice if they did, but you can Google it. It's the same thing. And this is what professionals were able to achieve in the 80s, and we can now best this using telescopes you can control online and rent from mytelescope.net using equipment that is within the grasp of amateurs. So technology has really revolutionized amateur astronomy and has changed the whole ballgame. I mean, amateurs are now able to conduct professional quality observations and contribute actual data to ongoing research in astronomy. So that's what you can do with itelescope.net. You don't even have to get out of your chair to observe and actually explore deep space with very powerful telescopes. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the webcast. I apologize that Shepard didn't show and he didn't respond to my invitation to talk about his article, but I think we've addressed it pretty thoroughly here in every way possible. If you guys have any questions, just post your comments in the video and I will respond to them, and also be uploading a color version of the picture taken by T24 a little bit later. I'll work on processing that. Tomorrow, though, I leave for Cape Canaveral for the launch of CRS-8, the SpaceX cargo resupply flight. It'll be the first attempt by SpaceX to resupply the International Space Station after their last attempt, which unfortunately ended in the explosion of the rocket, the destruction of CRS-7. And if you look on my channel, you'll see a video I caught of that as well. But they're going to be trying to land the first stage again on a barge out on the ocean using, this will be using their higher thrust version, or I think they're calling it the full thrust version of the Falcon 9 rocket, using that super cooled fuel. So their cryogenic fuels, they're cooling them to even lower temperatures than before to pack more in there and be able to operate it at a higher thrust level. So they're going to be attempting a barge landing, and they seem to be optimistic about their chances this time. They think they can get it. We'll see. If they do, that'll definitely change the ball game for space flight and delivery of cargo to space by really opening up the possibilities for reusing these rockets and lowering the costs. So stay tuned for that. I'll be over at the Cape heading out there on Wednesday and attending tours and behind the scenes talks on Thursday and Friday ahead of the launch. So thanks for watching. Hope you guys have clear skies. Good night, everybody.